Hello, everyone. Hopefully, this is working okay. I wanted to record before we even left for Australia, so this should be the very, very first video of hopefully very many and a lot of our thoughts. So, Wedge and I have been so looking forward to this trip. And to give some context, it has been 10 years since he came over here and got married to me. And it's been 12 years since I've been back. So we anticipate a lot has changed. And we also anticipate that many of the people we knew in the place that we did when we saw them last are now 10 years older, which is not a long time, but it's also not a short time either. But we're eagerly looking forward to this. Of course, we have some anxieties. I think TSA is always a huge one of, is everything going to pass? Is everything going to be okay? And especially traveling internationally, is a little bit different than just traveling an hour or two to Vegas or Colorado or California or something of that nature. So the 17-hour flight will be an adventure, I'm sure. We are about an hour away from my sister picking us up. And from there, we'll head to the Salt Lake City airport and we will get everything set up so that we can fly out around 5 p.m. To LAX, which is Los Angeles airport. We'll grab some dinner. And then we'll be heading out to our flight to Sydney. Now, I do hope to give another update once we either get to the airport or when we get to LA. But in case I don't, because sometimes travel can be hectic, I wanted to make sure to give an introductory of how we're feeling and what's going on with us. So we're both very nervous, but very excited. And if I've learned anything from my leadership conference this week in talking with one of our senior managers, nervousness and excitement in our brains are different, but in our nervous systems, it's the same thing. So I always think of the famous words from Pinkie Pie in My Little Pony. I'm nervous-sighted. So we're both nervous, but we're excited. Really looking forward to seeing some family and being back to a country that I loved and that is Wedge's home country. So that is where we're at for now. So hopefully I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you all so much.
Look at how cute my vacation nails were. This was us in Salt Lake City Airport, sitting on the very compact plane, which is why you got the weird fish lens. And this is us taking off from Salt Lake City. You can see our gorgeous mountain range and how we still had snow when we departed. Keep in mind this is late April. And one of the things I always am so surprised about when I fly out of Salt Lake is just how big the Salt Lake Lake truly is. That little mountain range, that little island you could see there is called Antelope Island. It is a really cool island that you can drive to that has buffalo throughout the island. They'll walk up to your car. It's got a really neat visitor center. So I really like pointing that out. As we were up in the air, I wanted to take some photos because I feel like being in an airplane is something that gives you perspective on what your area or what the area looks like from above. And it's not something that you get every single day. So I love taking pictures up in airplanes. And as we started to approach LA, it was very cloudy. A lot of the landing I recorded not knowing when we were actually going to land, but I started the recording as soon as we were about to dip into the clouds, just so I could make sure to capture that moment once we actually touched down. Now, being that this is a flight from Salt Lake to LA, it is only a little bit over an hour. It is a very short flight, and it's one where you basically get up to altitude. They serve snacks. In this instance, it was paid and we didn't want to pay. And then they go right back down. So it is a very, very short turnaround, but it's one that we tend to make flights to California here and there. But this is, waiting for that break in the clouds to show the ground. We were both so very excited to be off the plane because it's very, very packed, but also just to start the next step in our journey, as this was only the very beginning of us in LA.
Hello, everyone. It is me. I'm giving you all an update. So we are here now at LAX. We are right in front of our gate, if you guys can see that. We'll be heading out in a couple hours, which we're okay with. We want to be here early and to sit. I will also say that I thought we were in this big rush because we were still in mountain time, and I forgot that we went back in time. So it is still not even 8 o'clock, and our flight doesn't leave until 10. So we had some delicious food. I can't remember exactly the name of the place. Beaches? Beaches. Okay. Wedge got a delicious sandwich, and I got their world famous mac and cheese, which, spoiler alert, was absolutely divine. So if you get a chance to be in LA, it's in Terminal B, and it is absolutely delightful. So that, I think, will conclude our update. We're just waiting around. I don't think I will be able to give one on the actual plane. So when I tune in next, it'll be at the Sydney airport Wednesday morning at like 6 a.m. Hopefully I can give you guys an update before Mom picks us up, before we exit the actual airport, but I will see how that goes. So thank you all, and I'll see you all on the other side.
Let me just tell you, recording this after the fact is such a surreal experience as I reflect on the time in this plane. It was our longest flight as we went to Australia. As coming back, we had the dateline and the winds were in our favor. Let me tell you, seeing that plane come in meant that that was the signal for us to take off. And something really interesting about the LA airport is that there is a plane landing or taking off just about every 4 seconds, which is wild. So you can see that, again, it was a long flight. Poor Wedge was struggling with sleep. I managed to get a couple hours in myself. I think I did end up watching one movie, but there was just so much anticipation and so much as we started to get closer and closer. The food was amazing. Airplane food always surprises me. And as we got closer to Australia itself, the sun came up and it was just this absolutely stunning sunrise as we approached, because we knew it was the morning. We had skipped a whole day. We left Tuesday night and we flew in Wednesday morning at like 6 a.m. You'll hear me probably say that a couple times, but it was early. It was very early, but seeing this sunrise as we circled over the water and we prepared to land in Sydney, seeing the sharp cliffs by the water and the ocean side and civilization come into view was just absolutely amazing, especially spending literally more than half of a day in an airplane. It was nice. We did have a space in between us on both the flight to and from over the ocean, which was amazing. But we were just so filled with anticipation, ready to start this vacation. And as we landed, I kept thinking to myself, I made it, and just how excited I was. I wanted to record and see everything because we had just gotten there.
All right, I've made it. It is a very bustling and busy. You can probably tell from the numerous people walking behind me. Currently,
And this is where our audio cuts out in this video. I was explaining that I was currently waiting for Wedge. Basically, what had happened in this video is that once we got off of our flight, we then have to go through a queue of processing to make sure that we're in the right place. And there were several different signs that talked about whether you were a tourist or whether you were a resident. And Wedge, knowing that he had an Australian passport, was convinced that he should go through the residence line. And while that may be true, I do believe that he would have had a better time just coming through the line with me as a tourist, even though he had that passport. And it ended up that he was told he was in the wrong line, and then he was put in the right line, but then those machines weren't working. And I ended up waiting for him for probably a good 30 minutes. And when you're by yourself with everyone's luggage, I had Wedge's check-on bag, his other bag, my check-on bag, my carry-on bag. It made me very hyper aware and very nervous, which is why I felt that if I recorded, people might just leave me alone. And I also wanted to just share our experience. The flight was incredibly long, and after sitting on a plane for 17 hours, it's exhausting. And I knew I was a bit of a mess, but that's okay. And I was just sharing that it was extraordinarily early. It's probably about 6 a.m. on Wednesday at that time. And I was just really, really tired. So that, in conjunction with the audio issues we were experiencing, was not a fun time. And I, of course, didn't learn that we were having the audio issues until later. But here was me just signing off, sharing that I was here. We had made it.